Hi, I'm Lauren from Consilix, and today's video topic is about the PnL and how you can plan on certain KPIs or plan on certain costs directly, and some general recommendations on how to build your application in Jedox. Good, let's get started. So last time we saw that on the revenue side, you can have driver-based revenue or costs based on your order quantity, for example, for a brick and mortar store. But for a web shop, for example, you can have different KPIs that represent your business, right? On the cost side, however, you have a bit of a different options. Let's go back to the brick and mortar store. Let's go a bit below to the cost side. So typically, when you have costs, you can either make them driver-based as well, based on certain outputs that your company has, or you can just make them based on past data. For example, when you are a production company, you might want to take a very detailed look at COGS that are being generated based on the output, because due to your increase in revenue, you might also have more costs flowing in. And in those cases, it always makes sense to make them driver-based, because then you have a better accuracy in your plan. You can, however, as a general rule, say that anything that is linked to the output of your company should be driver-based. It's a good rule of thumb. And when then we go, for example, to fixed costs, like for example, here in the admin side, other operating expenses, these 54K in legal fees that have been budgeted for 2027. Well, that makes sense to use existing values based on the past, because this is going to be just fixed costs, right? So here, for example, we can copy the budget of previous year, or we can immediately enter, I don't know, 300K, minus 300K. And here now we have accurate OPEX expenses added in. We can, of course, also split them up by different positions, which might be extra helpful to get a more detailed OPEX plan into it. But if for a top line, for a target, you can also just budget on the aggregated elements. If you want to go into more detail, it would make sense to consider the costs that you have at your headquarters and bring them to your sales offices, for example, or your revenue generating companies, in order to have a PnL based on the effective revenue that the location makes, minus all the administrative overhead, like typical IT costs or admin costs that are generated by your headquarter location. This is typically done with keys like FTEs or revenue, or square meters of your offices, for example. All of this can be used to then generate costs in different locations on a distribution key basis. So overall, these are the three pillars of planning in the PnL. You have driver-based, you have direct entry, and you also have distribution key-based costs that then can be rerouted internally. Good. See you next week for the next video. Take care. Bye.